Just look at this number. On any given day, a staggering 13% of the United States population eats pizza. Think about that for a second. That's over 42 million people, today alone, grabbing a slice. But how exactly did we get here? How did a food that was once literally shunned by the wealthy become the ultimate universal meal?
Well, let's start with section 1, from peasant food to royalty. To answer how we got here, we really have to go back to the beginning with a classic rags to riches narrative. Looking at the early milestones, the whole concept of oven-baked flatbreads actually dates all the way back to the Neolithic age. But the actual word pizza, that was first recorded in a Latin text in 997 AD in the Italian town of Gaeta. And get this, according to the record, a tenant had to pay the local bishop 12 pizzas every Christmas and Easter. Not a bad holiday bonus for the bishop, right? Fast forward a bit to 1830, and we see a massive leap. Street peddlers in Naples, who literally used to balance these hot tin stoves on their heads, opened the Antica Pizzeria Port Alba. That was the world's first physical pizzeria, and they were baking pies in ovens lined with actual lava rocks from Mount Vesuvius.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the payment system that popped up at places like Port Alba. It was called pizza a otto. Back then, pizza was strictly the food of the poorest citizens, artists, students, day laborers. This system allowed a customer to eat a pizza on the spot and then pay for it up to 8 days later. It was basically an 8-day line of credit for a slice of bread with some oil and garlic. It was such a poor man's food that this dark local joke actually emerged. People would say a pizza from Port Alba might be your very last free meal, well, if you happen to die before that 8th day rolled around. And the toppings back then completely reflected that poverty. The original street pizza, the Mastunicola, was topped with super cheap lard, sheep's milk cheese, and some basil. The wealthy wouldn't even go near it. But that all changed in 1889. King Umberto I and Queen Margherita were visiting Naples, and they were just getting tired of fancy French cuisine. So a local baker named Raffaele Esposito was summoned to make a pizza for the queen. He created the Margherita, purposefully mirroring the red, white, and green of the Italian flag, with tomato, mozzarella, and basil. And she absolutely loved it. In one single moment, pizza was elevated from the gritty streets right up to royal status.
Which brings us to section 2, the American pizza effect.
That royal stamp of approval was a big deal for sure, but it actually wasn't what made pizza a global obsession. For that, we have to look at how pizza crossed the ocean. So the crucial takeaway here is that the pizza we know and love today was heavily shaped by America. It's an actual academic concept called the pizza effect. Sociologists coined this term to describe what happens when a piece of culture is exported, transformed somewhere else, and then brought back to its country of origin. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Italian immigrants brought pizza to places like New York and Chicago. Then later, during World War II, American GIs fighting in Italy tasted the local pizza, loved it, and came home demanding more of it. There's this fantastic quote from anthropologist Ajihanananda Berardi that perfectly captures this whole hermeneutical feedback loop. He writes, after World War I, a highly elaborated dish, the U.S. pizza, made its way back to Italy. The term and the object have acquired a new meaning and a new status. Essentially, America took a simple peasant flatbread, loaded it with meats and extra cheese, completely blew up its size, and then Italians actually adopted this Americanized version. That completed the loop, creating the modern, highly elaborated dish we all recognize today. All right, let's jump to section 3, the economics of a slice. Moving from sociology over to dollars and cents, let's look at the financial side of pizza, because its price has actually become a legit economic indicator all on its own. If you live in New York, you might already know about this. It's called the pizza principle. Since the early 1960s, a patent attorney named Eric M. Bram and journalists at the New York Times noticed this uncanny correlation. The price of a standard slice of cheese pizza directly matched the cost of a New York City subway ride. For decades, they tracked this. Whenever the slice went up, the subway fare followed right along with it, creating this bizarre but highly accurate urban economic law. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wild the economics of pizza have become over time. Just consider the spectrum we're dealing with here. On one side, you have the pizza a otto delay system of the 1830s, literally handed out for $0 up front. Contrast that with a $12,000 pie. Yes, you heard that right. This is the Louis XIII pizza, created by Italian master chef Renato Viola. It features a 72-hour natural yeast dough and is topped with cognac-soaked lobster, 3 different types of caviar, squilla mantis, and pink Australian salt. Oh, and the chef actually travels to your house to prepare it for you.
Section 4, frozen aisles and space deliveries. While some chefs were out there pushing the boundaries of absolute luxury, others were tackling a much bigger challenge: scale. Like, how do you engineer a pizza so you can eat it anywhere, anytime? The commercialization of pizza happened at lightning speed. In 1962, a woman named Rose Totino completely revolutionized the frozen aisle by patenting a crust that wouldn't get all soggy in a home oven. That basically birthed the modern frozen pizza industry. By 1974, the Artificial Language Laboratory at Michigan State University used a speaking computer to order a pepperoni, mushroom, ham, and sausage pie. That was the first computer-generated food order in history. And then, in 1995, DiGiorno changed the game yet again with the frozen rising crust. But Earth just wasn't enough. In 2001, Pizza Hut paid the Russian Space Agency an estimated $1 million to deliver a 6-inch personal pan pizza to cosmonaut Yuri Usachov aboard the Mir space station. But here's the thing, you can't just toss a normal delivery pizza into a rocket. It required some intense food science. They had to substitute the pepperoni with shelf-stable salami because regular pepperoni would just spoil. They had to pack in extra salt and spices because the fluid shifts in microgravity actually dull an astronaut's taste buds. And most importantly, they had to invent a pre-baked, completely crumb-free crust. Because obviously, floating crumbs in zero gravity can totally destroy million-dollar equipment.
Let's move to and see how this builds into our final segment, Section 5, Global Tastes and World Records.
With pizza conquering literally outer space, it is really no surprise that back down on Earth, every culture has taken this blank culinary canvas and completely localized it. Just look at some of these regional interpretations. In Russia, they serve a pizza called Mosca, which features tuna, sardines, mackerel, and onions. And get this, it is usually served completely cold. In Japan, you'll find eel, squid, and a mix of mayo, potato, and bacon. Costa Rica throws on coconut and shrimp. But perhaps the most surprising is Sweden, where one of the most popular pizzas is topped with peanuts, chicken, curry powder, and bananas. Yeah, banana pizza. Now, of course, you can't talk about controversial toppings without poking the bear: pineapple. The debate is so heated that in 2017, the president of Iceland, Gunni Johannesson, jokingly told a group of students that if he could, he would pass an actual law legally banning pineapple on pizza. After sparking an international social media debate with the Prime Minister of Canada, which, by the way, is where the Hawaiian pizza was actually invented, the president had to walk it back, conceding that individual freedom overrides his personal distaste. And when it comes to pushing limits, we absolutely have to talk about size. In 2023, YouTuber Airrack teamed up with Pizza Hut in Los Angeles to shatter the Guinness World Record for the largest pizza ever made. They built a pie measuring 13,990 square feet, beating out the previous 2012 record set in Rome. This absolute monster required over 13,000 pounds of dough and more than 630,000 individual pieces of pepperoni. And the best part? Following Guinness guidelines, the entire pizza was divided up and donated to local charities, so absolutely nothing went to waste. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We've seen pizza used as currency for the poorest street workers, we've seen it elevated by queens, launched into orbit, and topped with everything from $12,000 caviar to bananas and curry. It is a food that constantly, relentlessly adapts to whoever happens to be making it. So, the next time you order a slice, ask yourself, from a simple Neapolitan flatbread to a limitless global canvas, what makes a true pizza? Does it even matter? Or is its real magic simply its ability to reflect our own history and innovation, one slice at a time? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay curious.